Algebra. Welcome back. We are on the Day 8 notes. There is no Day 8 notes technically in your notes packet. It says the quick quiz review or whatever. But today we're just going to do notes actually on our own paper. So feel free to just have a sheet of paper out and follow along as we review because you have a quiz coming up shortly over all of this stuff. So we are on the Unit 10, Day 8. And we are going to be reviewing everything because you have a quiz in a couple days. So we've been dealing with factoring. All right, so if you have a problem that just says factor, okay, we'll do a few of those. So something like x squared plus 6x plus 8. All right, something like that, we have to factor it. All you're going to do is make sure it's in descending order and then do your box problem. Okay, we've been doing a lot of those lately. So it's in descending order, box problem, it's got to multiply to be the last number, so it's got to multiply to be 8, and add to be that middle number, which is 6. So you got to think about all the numbers that multiply to be 8. 1 and 8, 4 and 2, and that's about it. The numbers that are going to add up to 6 are 4 and 2. So 4 and 2 go here. Once you have those numbers, you're going to make two sets of parentheses. X goes in the front of both. Since it's a positive 4, you put plus 4. Positive 2, you put plus 2. And that's it. There's no equal sign, so we are not doing anything further. We just leave it like that, and we are done. Let's try another one. So let's say that you have something like x squared minus 5x minus 14. Okay, so we got to figure out how to factor this. It's not equal to 0. It doesn't say to solve. We're just doing a box problem. It's in descending order. We want to make sure that the two numbers we come up with multiply to be negative 14 and add to be negative 5. When you get to multiply to a negative, you have to keep in mind there's going to be a lot of possibilities. With negative 14, you could do negative 1 and 14. You could do positive 1 and negative 14. You could do 2 and negative 7. You could do negative 2 and positive 7. So when you have to multiply to negative, there's a lot more possibilities because the negative could go with one number or the other. But the one that's going to add up to negative 5 is this guy, negative 7 and positive 2. You make your two sets of parentheses. X goes in the front of both. Negative 7 means a minus 7. Positive 2, you put a plus 2. And that's it. That's your answer, and you're done. Okay, we're not solving. There's no equal sign, so your answer should not have an equal sign. Let's see. For number 3, okay, let's say that you have x squared minus 8x minus 48. Okay, so we've got to think about all the numbers that multiply to be negative 48. We're going to do multiplies to be the last, multiplies to negative 48, and adds to be negative 8. So negative 48, you could do like negative 8 and 6, 8 and negative 6. You could do negative 48 and 1, 48 and negative 1. But none of those are really going to work as far as adding to negative 8. So let's try other numbers. If you can't think of other numbers that multiply to be negative 48, use your calculator. It's even, so it's divisible by 2. There's a variety of things. You could do like 24 times negative 2, negative 24 times positive 2. Still doesn't work. Divide it by something else. Divide by 3, divide by 4. There's a lot of possibilities. The one that's going to end up working, all right, is if you use negative 12 times 4. All right, negative 12 times 4 is 48. Negative 12 plus 4 is negative 8. So you may have to try a few possibilities before you get to the one that works. Or maybe you'll get lucky and get it right away. It just kind of depends. We're going to make two sets of parentheses. X goes in the front of both. Negative 12 means minus 12. Positive 4 means plus 4. All right, and then you're done. Let's say that you have something like this. You have x squared minus 121. This one you'll notice is missing an x. You can always rewrite it so that there's a 0x if the x is missing. we're going to do our box problem. It's got to multiply to be negative 121 and add to be 0. All right, again, if you don't know what multiplies to be 121, get out your calculator and divide it out and see what works. The two numbers that are going to multiply to be negative 121 are negative 11 and positive 11, and those also add up to 0. So we're going to have two sets of parentheses. X goes in the front of both, negative 11 and positive 11. All right, so x minus 11 times x plus 11. And if you have time, multiply these out. You should end up with that for your answer. All right, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you try a couple. All right, I'm going to write them out, and then you're going to give them a go, and then I'll pause the video, and then you can work on them and then see how things go. All right, so let's take a look at number 1. All right, number 1, we will do x squared plus 2x minus 3. All right, number 2, we'll do x squared minus x minus 20. We're going to actually do a couple more. Number 3, let's do x squared minus 144. All right. And the last one is let's do x squared minus 6x plus 8. Okay, so give those 4 problems a try, pause the video, and give it a go. All right, so let's see how you did. It's got to multiply to be negative 3, add to be 2. Those two numbers are 3 and negative 1, making it x plus 3, x minus 1. Number 2, it's got to multiply to be negative 20, add to be negative 1. Those two numbers end up being negative 5 and 4, so x minus 5 times x plus 4. This one, I rewrote it so there's a 0x in the middle so that I can fill in my box problem. Multiply to be negative 144, add to be 0. It's negative 12 and 12. So x minus 12 and x plus 12 are in the parentheses. The last one's got to multiply to be a positive but add to be a negative, so you need negatives here. Negative 4 and negative 2 are what's going to work. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. So x minus 4 times x minus 2. All right, so that is factoring. Now, there will be some problems that will say solve. All right, solve by factoring. Okay, and a lot of times you're going to have to factor it. Sometimes, though, that's not the case. For example, if you have something like 3x plus 2 times x minus 5 equals 0, this guy is already factored. You'll notice it's already in the parentheses, so you do not have to do any box problems. All you would do from this point on is do 3x plus 2 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. And then you would have to subtract 2, giving you 3x equals negative 2, and then divide by 3, giving you x equals negative 2/3. All right, for this one, you would add 5 to both sides, giving you x equals 5. So if it's already factored, you don't have to worry about the box problem. Just go straight to the last step, which is ZPP, set things equal to 0 and solve. All right, remember those problems, some of them, when we had it, you had stuff like 2x times x plus 3 times x minus 6 equals 0. All right, this one's already factored. You're going to set the pieces equal to 0, including the 2x. All right, we did this a while ago. So you're going to set each piece equal to 0. And with this one, you'd get 0. With this one, you'd minus 3. You get x equals negative 3. And with the last one, you'd add 6, giving you x equals 6. All right, so you have those. All right, if you ever have a problem that's already factored and it's like 5 times x minus 2 times x minus 1 equals 0. You're still going to want to try and set things equal to 0, just like in this last one. But in this last one, you could set 2x equal to 0. This one, you can't set 5 equal to 0. So you really can't do anything with the 5. In this problem, you would just set x minus 2 equal to 0 and x minus 1 equal to 0. And add 2 to both sides, giving you x equals 2. And add 1 to both sides, giving you x equals 1. All right, so that's if it's already factored. Really nice and easy. Now, if it says to solve by factoring, solve by factoring, all right, and the problems are, if they have solve in the directions, are going to have equal signs in them. So something like x squared plus 9x plus 14 equals 0. All right, when you have something like this, you'll notice it has an equal sign. You'll notice the directions say solve. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that it's equal to 0. Once it's equal to 0, do your box problem to factor. All right, and then the last step is you're going to do ZPP and solve. Set things equal to 0 and solve. So for this problem, it's already equal to 0. Check. Box problem, it's got to multiply to be 14 and add to be 9. So think about all the numbers that multiply to be 14. 7 times 2 is what will do that. So you make your two sets of parentheses. X will in the front of both. Positive 7 is plus 7. Positive 2 is plus 2. And then the last step is we got to set things equal to 0 and solve. Set x plus 7 equal to 0. Subtract, you'll get x equals negative 7. And set x plus 2 equal to 0. Subtract 2, you get x equals negative 2. All right, so that's how solve by factoring works. Let's try another one. Let's say that you have x squared minus 32 equals, let's say, 12x. No, no, not 12x. I lied. Equals, let's say, 4x. All right, so for this particular problem, we want to make it equal to 0. It's not. It's equal to 4x. We're going to move it by subtracting 4x from both sides. When we rewrite this left side, put it in descending order. So it's going to go x squared, then a minus 4x, and then the minus 32 equals 0. Now we can do our box problem. It's got to multiply to be negative 32 and add to be negative 4. So think about all the numbers that multiply to be negative 32. Got negative 32 and 1, 32 and negative 1. You've got like 16 times negative 2, negative 16 times 2. If you can't think of stuff, use your calculator. The numbers that are going to work, though, is 8 times 4. Negative 8 times 4 and 8 times negative 4. The numbers that are going to add up to be negative 4, though, are negative 8 and negative 4. So we're going to make our two sets of parentheses. Put an x at the beginning of both. Negative 8 will go here. Positive 4 will go here. And then you set both pieces equal to 0. That's your final step. So when you subtract, or you're going to add 8 to both sides, giving you x equals 8. And subtract 4 from both sides, giving you negative 4. All right. I'd like you to try two problems with the same directions, the factor and solve. So the first one is going to be x squared equals, let's do 169. And then number 2, let's say it is x squared. Let's do, which one do I want to do? Let's do, minus 16x plus 64 equals 0. Yeah, I like that. So give those a try, pause the video, and give it a go. Okay, so let's see how you did. With number 1, you're going to want to make it equal to 0, so I subtracted 169. Then you can rewrite it so that it has a 0x because it was missing an x. And then it's got to multiply to be negative 169 and add to be 0. Those two numbers are going to be negative 13 and 13. So x minus 13 times x plus 13 equals 0. Next step, set those things equal to 0 and solve. X minus 13 equals 0, and you get 13. X plus 13 equals 0, subtract 13, you get x equals negative 13. For number 2, you've got to, it's already equal to 0. It's got to multiply to be 64, add to be negative 16. And so you got to think about all the numbers that are going to work. It's negative 8 and negative 8. X minus 8 times x minus 8 equals 0. Since they're the same, you don't have to really set it equal to 0 twice. You can just do it once. You're going to get x minus 8 equals 0. Add 8 to both sides, and you get x equals 8. All right, so that's pretty much what you're going to be doing on your quiz, is a lot of either factoring or factoring and solving. So pay close attention. If there's an equal sign, your answer will have an equal sign. You'll end up with x equals something. If your problem does not have an equal sign, your answer will not have an equal sign. All right, so that's kind of the main difference between the two. And that's about it. Thanks.